This episode is going to be... I'm just going to start over. Hello and welcome to the Invincible Podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. A show where friends get to sit around and discuss all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. This episode is going to be a continuation of our new reader series, a series where we follow along with some friends of mine who are reading through Invincible for the first time. This episode is all about the Ultimate Collection Volume 11 hardcover, so please welcome back to the show, Liz.
Hi, guys.
And Brittany.
Hello.
So, this is essentially the final new reader.
Yes.
It's been over a year. I think it's been about a year and 2 months.
Wow.
That you guys started doing this. Yeah, the first new reader volume 1 was, I believe, May of last year.
We're so dedicated.
Yeah. Wow.
I know.
It is great. So considering volume 12 would come out probably in January or so of next year, and that will collect the end of the series, this is going to be the last one. And what's going to happen next for the new readers, we're going to talk more about that at the end of this episode. But you'll hear more of them soon. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. A couple news items real quick. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, the team who are doing the movie, did a Reddit AMA and Ask Me Anything on June 30th. And the whole thing was, kind of geared towards being about the show Preacher, which they do. But I kept an eye on it just in case Invincible stuff came up.
Yeah,
and there was. I was like, every time something Invincible related popped up, I was like, oh yeah, awesome. Some of the key things, and go on our Twitter. I posted images of all the times that Invincible was referenced. The big things are apparently they recently pitched a big idea to Kirkman. In another response he called it a basic idea, so a general. I kind of think and
maybe it's like a storyline.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think we can pull a few things from that. One of them being they're actively working on it, which is good to know. I mean, that's awesome. Another thing is what is that big idea? And if they have to pitch it to Kirkman, obviously it's not a
normal,
and it's not the exact comic. It's not word for word, panel for panel. I mean, we can expect something to feel or be different. So does it have to do is Conquest going to be at the end of the movie? Is it going to be in an alternate dimension that Engstrom cooked up? You know what I mean? This could be something just different. And if he had to pitch it to Kirkman, then that means this is a new idea. Kind of.
Yeah.
Again,
how do you feel about that? It could be really exciting.
It could be cool.
Terrible.
Look what they did with Star Trek. I mean, that was kind of a reboot, but in the same universe. I mean, it's kind of a different story. They could be doing something like that. It could just be hey, our big idea is that the Viltrumite War is a main focus.
Right. Well, and I like that too, because they might be thinking long term of what else we can be doing after this, a second Invincible movie. So if they're thinking like that, then they might need to change something so it flows nicely or makes sense. So that could be cool.
Yeah. Again, take all this with a grain of salt. This is just them talking on Reddit, But it's also cool that they pitched something to Kirkman, which means Kirkman is actively involved, right?
I know. Well,
I
like
so.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really get confirmation one way or the other, but look at in the past we've talked about Last Airbender. The creators and writers of that show were off the radar. They didn't want anything to do with the movie.
And it showed.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good that.
But I liked it.
No, Brittany.
It's okay. It's okay.
No.
But
agree to disagree.
Yeah, but
it sucked.
Either way, it's a good thing that Kirkman is involved. And hopefully that involvement stays. And
even any Walking Dead, any of the shows that he was involved with writing were really good. They were my favorite episodes, and I was like, oh,
it was
no wonder why.
You can always tell when there was going to be a good Buffy episode because Joss Whedon wrote.
Exactly, Ryan.
Yeah, so hopefully Kirkman stays involved, and he's they keep going to him and they keep pitching ideas with him because that'll make me feel better. I mean, it's on the right track. I like everything that this stands for.
Well, like I said, I like that they're actively working. It's not like this enigma
the other thing is
Invincible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's real.
But the other thing is, if they just pitched a big idea, odds are it's probably not even written yet.
Of course.
or it's still in the early writing phases. So this is
Like
still
2
this is still ways out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say 2 years minimum.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, that's all right.
We're still pretty excited
Yeah,
about it.
of course.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
The other small thing that he mentioned, one Reddit user asked them if Zac Efron was going to play Mark Grayson,
hope not.
and their response was, and I quote, just 2 words, "too old?" ? So, and then they're like, "Who do you want to see play?" But I mean, does that show us that they're aiming for someone younger, which could tell us that Mark's definitely going to be in high school? You know what I mean?
Right.
But then again, if this movie isn't coming out for a couple years at least, Zac Efron, yeah, he's probably just going to be a little too old for this role.
Yeah.
But I could see
I could still
that
see him.
serious, that funny. He's got all of that, and of course
Especially-
he has the physique.
Especially
but-
where Mark is in the series now. But think about like the first, like high school, maybe early college. Like I
he
don't
definitely
know.
is going to look too old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely looks
I
the
don't-
part, and like I could see
I
it,
could
but
see it.
I don't. I'm
I think
okay
he's
with it
too
not
far
being him.
in comedy to
Yeah,
be able to do something with
And that
some
brings it-
serious aspects.
yeah,
In this.
yeah. I agree.
I have
But-
an idea of who I would like.
Who?
The kid from 13 Reasons Why.
I think TJ said that too.
But
Yeah.
he was also in Goosebumps.
Yes, that kid.
Which,
So, I mean-
which one from 13 Reasons Why?
I think he's the main character. I haven't seen it yet. so I
Archie,
don't know.
the redhead? Who's the... Wait, am I thinking of a different show?
Are you- You're thinking of
Netflix.
Rivendell.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
13 Reasons Why. I haven't seen it yet, but that's on Netflix.
I'm trying to think of who
He's
the main
also
character-
in-
Oh, okay. I can definitely see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still has like that baby face.
Yeah, Goosebumps, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
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 I'm like the show, like...
And there was some funny parts in Goosebumps, so
Oh, yeah.
I think he'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I have heard that one thrown around. I think I want to say TJ might have even said it. We'll ask him afterwards. So, other than that, Comic-Con is going to be July 20th to 23rd. That's actually going to land right in the middle of when our next episode is going to be airing. So, this episode or next episode, obviously we don't know what has been announced, if anything's going to be announced, but of course we'll be keeping our eyes and ears peeled for any announcements. We do know that there is going to be some little, more of those little invincible figures that are going to be colored. There's going to be one of Conquest and everything, but we talked about those last episode. So of course, keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook pages. We'll announce things and, spread the word if anything else comes out of that. So that does it. We're ready to jump into this. Right before we start with issue 121, the beginning of volume 11, a quick little recap of what happened in volume 10. Mark chased Angstrom Levy into that other dimension, got stranded there after that other Mark killed him, or after Robot left him there. Anissa raped Mark after he left. Robot went on his killing spree for the good of the world and everything. During that, Terra was born after Eve got her leg ripped off. Some time passed and the world actually did get a little bit better. We found that William was saying, hey, yeah, everything's great.
yeah.
Mark and his family left Earth, and there's still a group of resistance heroes. And the whole thing with Battle Beast and Thragg fighting throughout the entire volume,
Oh, Brittany.
ending with
I will never forget your reaction. Like when I saw Thragg in this one with wearing Battle Beast, I was like, Brittany was so shocked.
that was great. I couldn't believe you actually realized it on the podcast. But yeah, so Battle Beast is gone. Thragg has his own.
He was.
Yeah, and Thragg is creating his own army out of that race of that Oliver was created from.
So smart. So
Very smart. But that group of resistance fighters is kind of where we pick up on in volume 11. So volume 11 contains issues 121 to 132, and it had been a while since we had seen Earth, because the end of volume 10 was Mark on Telestria with Eve, and they're doing all those family things and everything like that.
So we didn't know the chaos.
We didn't know what was
happening.
going on Earth, and so it was cool to pick up right with an issue that is entirely Earth.
Yeah.
We don't see Mark, we don't see anything. This is all Earth. But yeah, 121, it's the cover of Robot holding up a bloody Immortal. But it's cool. Like I said, starts with Immortal fighting Robot and kind of protecting Duplicate and their kids, because they have those 2 kids. But then Immortal gets captured, and we see Xandal still wearing the bulletproof costume.
I know.
Yeah, it makes me so angry.
I know,
yeah,
right?
and he was just like, it's for the greater good, more or less. And I was just like, you're such a sellout. Like, I was so disappointed.
Yep.
Very sad about that.
And because everybody, a lot of them are captured. So we've got, Britt, Monster Girl, Kaboomerang, El Chupacabra, all those guys, Yeti. Monax is in the background there.
Yeah, just think, he captured Amanda. Like,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I couldn't believe that. And I like that they show, like, a glimpse of D.A. Sinclair of, like, question on his face of, what is happening? Like he doesn't.
Oh, I think that's like
agree with.
That's a knowing glance. I think like Immortal looks up at D.A. Sinclair and it's like, all right, like you ready for the plan?
Yeah,
the plan's about to happen.
Yeah, and then his face is like,
oh yeah,
okay, yeah. It's going down. So you could tell that he was like.
And I like this. Immortal's like, okay, everybody, back to your cells. Like get back, and he blows up. So the plan was to sneak a bomb
inside of him?
Inside Immortal.
Yeah.
And blow himself up, and Xandal's face gets scarred in the process, and like
he deserved that.
He's sizzling.
Yeah, right. And so all the this plan to break everybody out, all these resistance heroes start breaking out. We got Monax actually helping.
I would say I really like that we finally got to see Monster Girl and Monax together and working together. Like that was really cool for me, and kind of sad too. Because now it's really them against Rex. And I don't know. It just...
Yeah.
And it still hurts. I don't know why, but it's just
And this is the issue where they have a good moment where Monax basically, like, he says...
now you know.
Yeah, like, now you know. It hurts that you know the truth. And Amanda goes on to say, like, I went from loving someone so much to hating them so much that I feel like something broke inside me.
Dialogue. I loved it. I know.
But it was great seeing Monax and all of them. I like that D.A. Sinclair is helping out. He sends the Reaniman to fight them back, and then when like shit hits the fan, he uses the White Room.
Yeah,
I like that. That was kind of neat.
And this was his like redemption moment, like
right. This is a character who was in like I think, we talked about him in New Reader Volume 2. I mean, the Reaniman were in Volume 1. Like this is a character who has been.
He's grown and evolved so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like I really,
he even looks normal now.
He looks less creepy.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Must have been his girlfriend/wife with the baby.
Yeah, she was pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's nice to see Rex freaking out and somebody actually getting the upper hand on him and threatening D.A. Sinclair, and D.A. Sinclair being like, "No, peace out."
Yeah.
And he launches off in a rocket.
Oh yeah. Yep. Goodbye. I'm
done. And then we've got Xandal with talking to Rex, and Rex saying, "Oh, relax, we'll fix it." And Xandal's like, "No, this is who I am. I deserve this," because he feels essentially two-faced,
Yeah.
pun intended, I guess, because of everything he did. Remember his family, and like he killed his parents in a way, like his girlfriend, and then he like made it look like a car accident to hide the bodies. So he feels two-faced, not only for that, I guess, but for also, I guess, in a way, betraying the other heroes by turning them in the last volume.
Well, he deserved what he got.
He did, and like this, I kind of like read a couple different ways too. Is like he knows what he's doing is the right thing, but it doesn't change how he feels inside.
Yeah,
and just like Rex, he knows what he's doing is going to cause violence and cause issues, but he's trying to do it with the least amount of damage or death to other people as possible.
Yeah.
So it's like...
But he still believes it's the right thing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that he left his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh, Batman.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, it is very Two-Face looking.
Yes, yeah.
The Resistance fighters are kind of holed up underground. I like this little conversation between Immortal and D.A. Sinclair, and he's like, "So let me get this straight. You have to, once the majority is put back together, how does that work?" And Immortal's just like, "It's best not to ask questions. I was cursed a long time ago."
I did like that when he did blow up. He's like, "Someone grab my legs."
Yeah. Grab my legs.
If I don't get back together.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So, and this is that conversation with Monster Girl, or with Amanda and Monax about hating and loving, and so good, so good.
And Monax telling her that fear of losing yourself and the fear of the things that fear will keep you from doing or cause you to do. That means that you are a good person.
Yeah.
Like
that resonated. So
that is a really good scene.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, F you, Rex.
And then all the heroes are gathered together, and Britt has a moment.
I freaking hate him.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But...
Well, I mean, it's tough because it's one of these situations, and Invincible is so good at this. Like, what is right, what is wrong? Obviously, like Britt's saying, like, hey, everything's better out there.
Right. And that's the thing too. Like you said, this is Earth. We haven't seen Earth in a while, so now that it's like changing, we have to readjust how we're thinking about their life on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, of course, things are changing. They're actually getting better, whatever he's doing.
Yeah. And
it makes you think.
And then he throws in Cecil. Like, this is what Cecil would want.
Yep.
And, you know how much I hate Cecil. So then I was just like...
And he says, like, oh, Cecil wouldn't have hesitated if it meant dying to achieve this.
Yep. So I was just like, well, then I guess it's the wrong side because it's the Cecil side.
And I like how Rex was listening in the whole time because, of course,
He's just a skeevy little bastard.
Right?
I can't stand
Eyes and
him.
ears everywhere.
Yep.
But he basically says, "Hey, you guys come with me.
If you agree,
if
come
you
with
agree,
me."
yeah. If
Yep.
you don't agree with me, if you wanna, I won't pursue you. I won't fight you unless you attack me.
yeah.
But have your own thing." And I like Kaboomerang walking away, telling Amanda, "What would we be fighting for? Revenge?
Yep.
Like, what is
Not
there?
worth
Like,
it. Yeah.
so." And it's left with Amanda
And it
and
sucks
D.A.
because
Sinclair
he's
immortal.
right.
That's the
Like,
thing. That's what sucks about it. Because it's like it's like at this point, do they just want to punish him for what he did?
Yeah.
It's like it's not necessarily that they have a problem with what he's accomplished, but
that's how he went about it.
it's how he went about it. But that's a tough situation.
Yeah,
So-
morally, you can't follow a person like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that it comes down to
Yeah.
the ethics of it. But it's interesting, and that's where we're left with that because, Britt and some of them go off to help Rex, and I want to say that's the last time we see them in this volume.
I feel like
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Now that you
Pretty
say
sure
that.
it is.
Yep. Darn
Yep,
it.
I know.
Now you have me thinking.
Yeah, and you'll know soon. You'll know soon. All right, then
No, I'm
we
gonna wait. I'm
Yep.
gonna wait till it all comes out.
issue 122. We're back on Telescria. It starts off with Alan talking to the council on for the Coalition of Planets, and he's talking to them about how locating Thragg is the number one priority. And then we've got this this other senator. What is her name? Senator
Oh, I know.
Elia? Yeah.
The one who
Eli-
wants
Representative
to do the same
Elia.
thing?
Yeah. Representative
Or
Elia.
Thragg?
This
Yeah.
green, gross-looking alien who we see more of later. She suggests that we do the same thing Thragg's doing. Breed more of Viltrumites.
Why not?
I would have shot her right there.
Do you
No
think this is a
mercy.
good idea, though, Liz?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's...
Unfortunately, it is. I mean,
Yeah, it kind of is. But at the same time, I mean, Brittany, you're saying no. I mean, Alan brings up a good point. He says, hey, I know what breeding camps do. I mean, where do they stop? Do they just keep breeding Viltrumites until it suits their needs? And then at what point is that moral? You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
think it's a thin line. And
oh yeah. Well, especially if it is just like a breeding ground, how she was suggesting it.
Yeah.
But I feel like,
That's just nasty. That's disgusting. It's not right.
yeah, well,
no, I 100% agree. I'm just thinking, how many has Thragg actually created?
Well, yeah, exactly.
And they're in trouble. They're going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, it's purely a defense.
yeah.
So that's the only reason why I think it's a quote-unquote good idea.
Oh, I know.
Should they do it?
I don't
No.
think she's crazy for suggesting it.
Right, exactly.
I know. And then we got, Alan shuts her down. She
Yeah.
storms off angrily. She doesn't like him very much. I
No
like
one
this.
likes when you disagree with a woman.
Yeah, I like this Battle Beast representative that
Yeah.
shows up to
Yeah.
basically apologize on her behalf and everything. And his little tease.
I know, yes. I'm like, what? There is a tale of another, or
Yeah,
a story of another.
there's
something?
prophecy of
That
another.
prophecy.
Another
Yeah.
Battle Beast.
Dun, dun, dun. Nothing the whole rest of the novel. I was waiting. I was like, I'm like, please don't leave this unanswered. Like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I know. We've got Alan sitting down with a little checkup with Mark and Oliver. And Alan has a lot on his mind. He asks Mark if he's been to what did he call it? The Greenlands. And apparently they went during like breeding season or something like that. And Mark and Eve and Terra were attacked. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's showing that Alan's got a lot going on with Thragg and everything like that. And so they talk about how they have a date night planned, and there's this scene that we talked about a couple times on this podcast. They're on their way to this theater, and Mark, Eve, and Terra walk past a beggar who's like asking for something, and Eve says, no, don't do it, because at this point there's so much weird stuff.
Well, she's so creeped out by this place in general.
Exactly.
Well, last time she helped, what was it, look like a little girl with a cat or something?
Yeah,
and then he ate the cat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's that? That reminds me of Hellboy, the troll that eats birds or something.
Oh yeah.
Just walk away.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So another alien creature comes up to help that beggar, and it shapeshifts into that creature. So we know that there's a creature that can shapeshift. Mm-hmm. Might not mean anything, but
might mean something.
Might mean something.
The look on that guy's face.
Yeah, he's shocked because this beggar alien just turned into a duplicate of him. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's only by touch.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah. So, but at this theater, it's this theater that, Oliver described it as, what was it, vibrations and lights.
Lights, yeah.
Sounds. He said it's the closest thing is to call it like a movie theater.
Yeah.
I like how Haluma, Oliver's girlfriend, and Mark don't get along because the food situation. And this whole theater thing really bothers Terra. Like, she ends up screaming and everything like that, and they have to leave. And then, Mark is saying that, because Oliver says, hey, do you want to go out later? And Mark's saying, no, I don't feel so great either. Now, this is something that we have not talked about on the podcast. I keep meaning to bring up with Bill and TJ, but I have seen this kicked around online. What if this is showing us that, like, what is Mark's big weakness? What is his, like, kryptonite? Like, anytime dinosaurs or robot, somebody stops him, Cecil. It's like an inner ear thing. Yeah. Like, it's a vibration, you could say. It's a frequency.
Yep.
So maybe this light vibration show hit a certain frequency that bothered Terra, because she's an infant.
Right.
And gave Mark a little headache.
Partly Viltrumite.
And part Viltrumite. Yeah, exactly. But it didn't bother Oliver. So maybe this is showing us that Oliver, being part of that bug race, is immune to the thing that Mark is not immune to.
Right.
So does that mean that those Viltrumites that Thragg has don't have that
won't be crippled
weakness?
By that? Or maybe they just have to find the right one.
Yeah. I don't know. But
that is a good thought.
But it's something that I've been meaning to bring up with Bill and TJ.
Well, and I wondered too if it was even just like sympathetic, like saying, oh, I didn't feel good too, but I felt like it was more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I did feel like there was a deeper meaning to that.
Yeah. I liked seeing Oliver and Mark kind of on patrol.
Yeah.
Fighting,
I mean, it's like a throwback.
Exactly, and it feels good. Oliver looks awesome on this
together.
page. Yeah, they both have capes.
Yeah.
I really like Oliver in this scene. Like, he looks visibly different. Like it's I don't know. This is like my favorite age of Oliver. We've been wanting to see him older for so long, and getting to see him in action and actually fight and everything alongside Mark was really cool.
I'm just trying not to be jaded,
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. I like this Canslock farm too. Those are the things that Alan's always eating.
Yes.
Yeah. And this whole Rhinax thing was really funny. What's that?
Yeah, this was
this creature that Eve walks out on her windowsill, and it's just another,
flying creature of that planet.
Mm-hmm.
But it just like barfs more or less like right in front of her, burps on her or something.
Yeah,
and she's just like, I'm done.
She just hates it. She's
I
having
don't blame her. I'd be that person. Like, let's go home.
She's just having the worst time. Yeah.
He's like, why me?
Mm-hmm. But the issue ends with Mark and Oliver reporting back to Alan, and Alan getting some news, because Space Racer has been monitoring Thragg and keeping an eye on him, and apparently has made contact.
Yep.
So that leads us to issue
Space Racer. No.
Yeah. Leads us to issue 123, where where it starts off with what I'm assuming is what Alan asked of Mark. Mark has to sit down with Eve and kind of say, hey, so what do I do? Am I going?
Yep.
You know? And Eve understands. She's saying you have to go after him. You have to go after him. And she hates the fact that she's stuck there. She's getting, I think she calls it alien planet, like cabin fever.
Yeah.
You know?
What else is she going to do?
Yeah.
You know, like...
And she also says that she's kind of, you know, not attached, but she has to take care of Terra, too. So she can't get a break. I mean, she's constantly taking care of Terra and on an alien planet.
Yeah. Well, then I like the next panel, too, where they show, like, oh, so go take some time for Eve, especially before, you know, Mark has to leave. And this is the first time we see her leg.
Yeah, isn't that cool looking?
Yeah.
I love that
so
panel.
I really like the artwork in this one, too. It looked really awesome.
Yeah. She's like, I'm out.
And I had forgotten, you know, because we'd only seen her, you know, from, you know, chest up. So I was like, oh, yeah, she lost her leg.
Oh, yeah.
Totally forgot.
Yep. And I know I mentioned it last New Reader volume because Mark and Terra had like a daddy-daughter night, and I was calling it Daddy-Daughter Day because I was thinking of this.
Of this one.
This is when he has Daddy-Daughter Day. And I love these 2 pages. Yeah. It's just so cool. Not only like seeing all the different things they do, but how they both end in the same like way.
And this is where I could really relate as a parent, because there's times like I'm with the kids and I'm just like, I just need a minute for me. And I do. I take 2 hours and, you know, I come back and I'm like, yay!
Feeling great.
Yes. And so I can definitely sympathize with that. And of course the kids are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I'm sure there's days like this too, like what Mark's having, where it's just like, you know, a good day with the baby, you know, a good day with the kid. I love how like, you know, every second panel is him changing diapers.
Yeah. His face is great.
Like her eating the comic books, him reading Science Dog.
So cute.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great, you know, and great because, well, you guys know what's coming up. I mean, it was a great moment that they have together because not only do they each get what they need, but then they also get a little bit of alone time together in the next scene.
They get what they need.
Yep.
Just kidding.
And then on
you liked it.
That was funny.
And then the next day, Mark.
Sorry.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to hold the page, so.
Oh, that's all right. And then on the next day, Mark has to head out. He says goodbye to both of them. And I know.
It's like, it's so hard. It's so hard.
I liked Oliver telling Mark, you walk too much. And he's like, it's an old habit. So, and, you know, Mark kind of chastising him for being too excited because he says, this guy ripped your arm off and your jaw, you know, you have to be more serious.
Right. Like it's game time.
And Eve, you know, telling Alan, and they have that little conversation. Alan says that he's not going with them. He's needed there, and you know, give me a call. I'm pretty awesome sometime.
Please be the rock. Please cast the rock.
I know, isn't this such a rock scene?
Yes, I'm pretty awesome. Yes, you are.
So, Mark and Oliver have a talk about how this is, you know, Thraggs essentially making an army of Olivers and how scary that is.
But you know what, too, is like, you have to think, is Oliver going to feel more connected to them?
Yeah, exactly.
Because of this.
And he might, and that's brought up later on in this volume. And so on this alien planet that they're tracking Thragg down on, they're searching all over the place. They find the spy. He was no good. He wasn't helping them at all. No. And they scour the entire planet looking for any sign of this fight with Space Racer, any sign of Thragg or his kids or anything like that. And Mark stumbles onto a cave.
Yeah.
So he travels down the cave, and while he's going down this cave, he's talking with Oliver, and Oliver's talking to some of the locals, and he's trying to warn Mark, saying, "Hey, the locals say don't go in there." And Mark starts falling, and he hits the ground, and there's this bright white light coming from this creature, which we on the podcast aptly named the Spaghetti Monster. So when we refer to it, we call it the Spaghetti Monster. Okay. Exactly. Mark reaches out, touches it, and what did you guys think of this? Do you guys remember this page?
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was the very first
episode.
First
issue.
Yeah. And I was kind of like, what?
So
Pretty
Mark,
much what Mark's face looks like.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
Mark
what I
has-
look like.
So Mark has essentially traveled back in time in a way, and he is on his toilet reading Science Dog.
It's a do-over.
Yeah,
Like,
he essentially has a
Freaky
do-over.
Friday.
Yep. So how cool was that? I mean, were you excited?
Yes.
Like,
yes. And you know what? And what he did, like, saving people, talking to people, like, that's exactly what I would have done. You know, like, I know this is going to happen, so let's go save them. Like,
Yep.
this is what I know
So the
about
next-
you, and you.
yeah.
You know, like,
so the next 3 issues, this is called Reboot, ?
yeah.
Because obviously a play on all the reboots going on in the comic book industry and everything like that.
Great
And Kirkman
show,
likes
by
to...
the way.
What is?
Reboot. I used
Really?
to watch that growing up. Yeah.
Wait, is that... You mean the... is it the... CG one? Yes, Reboot. You're right, that is. They were
loved it.
blue-skinned or
Yes.
green-skinned.
Yeah, they're, yes.
Oh, that's
I
right.
love
They
watching
took
that
place... I think they lived inside of a computer. You know? Oh,
I
man.
really like that.
That's
Sorry
funny.
for the sidebar, but...
No idea what you're talking about.
It's cool.
But we knew Reboot was coming. You know, the one thing that happens with, you know, when we're reading these issue to issue, the Reboot arc was announced, you know, well before it happened. So we knew that something was coming that was going to cause a reboot. So we didn't really have the same experience you guys had of, what's this? What's this? And then you turn the page and he's, you know, we kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. It's such a cool
I'm glad that they
concept.
did it.
We were worried at the time. We didn't know exactly. I mean,
What it meant.
yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
know what kind of ramifications this would have. I mean, it's called Reboot with a question mark. We knew that, you know, obviously things were going to stick. You know, things weren't going to stay bad forever. Like, it's not like we weren't going to see Alan or Thragg again. Like,
Right.
we knew that, but we
Just
didn't
at a
know
different
why
time.
or what was happening. But it's cool. I mean, we get to see these things all over again. You know, this issue.
I was so excited to see the dynamic between real Rex and...
Right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So,
That's my girl. Like, and he's like, wait a minute.
yeah. Explode. Yep. So I like Mark coming down from the bathroom. His dad's fighting the dragon on the TV, just like he was in the first issue. And he approaches Eve,
At school.
right away, saying, "Hey, Eve," and she's like, "Only my friends call me that. That's my middle
Yeah.
name. It's Samantha. What are you doing, weirdo?" But
I
he's
know
like, "We
about
really,
you."
yeah." He's like, "We really need to talk." So they go to the
Creeper.
dumpster where they, you know, would change into costumes and fly away because, you know, nobody looks up.
Right?
And he says he knows all about the teen team and everything, that he's scared and he needs help. And this is freaky. Can you imagine? Like, this is really messed up. And they fly away to the teen team base. And I love that. You're right. Rexplode. Who the hell is this jerk? So,
It was nice to see him. It really was.
I mean, at this point, Eve and Rex are a couple. So,
And just to see, like, Robot
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Robot
Yeah.
again.
old suit robot.
And then I was thinking, like, does he know?
Yeah,
You
right?
know, I'm, like, still, like, very cautiously reading this as I'm, you know, turning the page. But luckily it was cool.
Yeah. Mark convinces them that he's from the future and they're like, you know, try and prove it.
Yeah.
And he basically turns in his teacher. Remember
Yeah, he
his
turns
teacher?
in his teacher, and he also tells, like, what Robot is. Like, that he was
Who
deformed.
he originally
or-
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He says that he's that deformed being in the tube.
Yep.
There was that other thing that he says. He says that I wish there was something that you could tell me that I don't know, that I could kind of corroborate whatever with what I do know to see if this is actually realistic. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
like,
hard to explain.
Is
Like,
this really happening? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he says, I wish there was something you guys could say that wouldn't be something I knew, that maybe I could use my knowledge of the future events to confirm without me having already known it. But that seems impossible. And Robot goes on to say that he feels that his lack of humanity would cause him to do something that scares him, like that he's afraid of.
Yes.
And Mark's like, oh God.
Oh, God. Yep.
So, and Robot's like, tell me, what did I do? What, and you know.
Not now.
But again, isn't that, it's such a cool dynamic.
And I was commenting how much I like Eve's butt cheek on. It's a good shot.
Eve's butt is a very famous character on this podcast.
They better cast her right.
Oh, I know it.
Butt double.
I like Eve offering to fly him home, and he's like, no, I should have been at work. I would have gotten my powers. And him just being like,
There you
Yeah.
go. Bye.
Yep.
done,
Loved it.
flying home. And then this scene where Mark is sitting at the dining room table eating dinner. This is the same like panel for panel shot where, you know, how was your day? And then, you know, Nolan says what he does, and Debbie asks Mark, and he says, "Oh, I got my powers," and they're like, "That's nice. Pass the potatoes."
I love it.
And
Yep.
it's the same. She has the same tone as if he would have said nothing at all, which kind of like proves that point that was made early on, that it's not that big of a deal to her,
Yep.
regardless of whether he got his powers or not. But here comes the sadness. Mark gets
I'm
frustrated.
done, like-
yeah, he's like, "I'm so done with this."
I want to wake up, like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
His poor sad face. Yeah, and I'm sure he just wants someone to talk to. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
really-
got to be very isolating.
yeah, and him still wondering, is this even?
Is
you
it
know,
real?
Is
Is
this
it
really
just,
happening? Am I
just
making
dreaming?
changes? Am I really saving people? You know, it's got to be a lot for him to process.
Yeah. I love this montage right here. And we get a couple of them during Reboot, but it's like, hey, this is the costume I want. Stopping Titan from the bank robbery, stopping the Mahler twins.
Yeah, I did. I like it. I could imagine everything happening. You know,
It's very, very cinematic. D.A. Sinclair, you know,
Yeah.
shutting that down, saying, "Don't worry, you'll get a second chance."
He's like, okay. Poor Mark, so
Yeah.
alone,
But
Breaks
again,
down again a little
and
bit.
just thinking, yeah, I have to do all of this all over again. Like he went through so much. I can't imagine reliving it. Like
Yeah.
I just can't.
the Flaxons come to fight, come to this dimension, and they're fighting them back. And Mark's telling them, "Hey, they're going to age. Just give it some time."
Yep.
And during that fight, Nolan shows up. So they have Nolan's obviously upset because he hasn't, told him about this. You'd think, he would have. And like they say over doing dishes, later on, which is another cool throwback to them talking over dishes like they did in the
Yeah.
earlier volumes. He's saying like, you just tell me, "Hey, I got my powers. It's as easy as that. What's the big deal?" And Mark says, "Can we talk outside?" So this is that moment in which Mark says, "Hey, this is happening. I know who you are. I know why you're here." And he starts it off by saying, like, "Do you love us? Do you love?"
Right. He's trying to like build
he's
that
building into
premise
it, like,
or
hey.
that background knowledge of like you do like remember this because it's
Yeah. And he says that he knows that you're planning on killing the Guardians. I know what you're going to do. Please don't try and conquer this planet. And his fist just like balls up, and that's how that issue ended.
And I was like, no.
Not
No.
again.
Yeah, because like this is that moment. Like as soon as he finds out, he beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, he comes to the realization sooner of, I do love you guys. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, it still happens.
Right.
He still tells
But
him.
it's not as bad.
And he beats the shit out of him. I love how in this time when he fights him, you see him like avoiding buildings. Like
Yeah.
I like to think that building, avoiding that building doesn't cause Powerplex, because Powerplex wanted to kill Invincible
That's right.
because his sister
See, you're smart.
died in
Yeah.
Yep.
that fight.
Think of that.
Like I like to think like that. He's doing this intentionally, and he's smarter.
He is, yeah, because he's
And he
even
knows
saying
his
crap,
actions.
like, no, we have to move, and like, yep, absolutely. Good catch, Ryan. I didn't think about that.
I like how he intentionally crashes into the Guardians of the Globe base. You guys never got to see them fight. Like, you just saw that little montage of them.
And they were gone.
Yeah, and then he kills them. But in this world, he doesn't get a chance
They're
to.
there,
So they're
yes.
still there. So we get a fight scene with, Omni-Man fighting Invincible with all the Guardians of the Globe fighting back.
This was satisfying.
Right?
I did like seeing this, for sure.
I like that Nolan still got to say his whole, "I don't like you, the feeling was mutual," put his hand through Immortal.
Yeah.
But seeing, War Woman and, Martian Man and everything. And I love, okay, so this one page that you guys are on right there, I love how Nolan punches Mark and it looks like I keep saying like the screen, but the panel goes black and it's very cinematic. And you see Mark like whisper, like, "But you do have a choice."
Yeah.
And it just looks like everything's quiet and slowed down and the color's very muted.
Yeah.
And it's just a really neat,
It was an awesome
Imagery,
way, yes, especially because everything was so bright and vibrant. So at that moment, you really you felt that like solemn feeling of like, this is what's happening. And
yeah. And it's got to be so frustrating. He knows his dad is good at heart and he knows what he's conflicted with. But seeing
he's just got to get him there.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
seeing
guess Nolan's got to fight a couple people to realize what's happening.
right. I like seeing Darkwing and the Red Rush and everybody help out, and Green Ghost.
Yeah.
But they eventually subdue him. You know, it takes pretty much the whole team. I like Immortal calling him a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, just laying there in blood. Dick. Yeah.
Yep. Cecil showing up to take him away. He's like basically saying, "Hey, I'll take it from here." And notice he's got the Reaniman already.
Yeah.
You know,
because he's already
got DA.
Yep.
And then of course Aquarius showing up.
Hey guys, what's happening?
Hey guys.
Huh? Useless.
Yep. Mark and Cecil have a moment together where they talk about how he's going to work for him. And, you know, Cecil believes that he knows the future and how beneficial someone that knows the future is.
Of course he does. He will use whoever he wants when he wants. F you, Cecil.
Oh.
Die again.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this? So, Nolan kind of, I mean, are you okay with Nolan's response to this?
No.
Do you think it's out of character that he turned or something?
I just didn't like how he went from beating the crap out of everyone to just, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. This was brought up on the podcast between us.
Quick.
I'm okay with it. You know, yeah, it feels a little quick. I think it was necessary though. We couldn't go that far. Like, how much would we have to read to go through in this reboot this 3-issue thing to get the point across, you know? But thinking about it, I mean, Nolan did realize it right away. He didn't kill Mark. His fist trembled and he flew away crying. He just left. He doesn't have that option to leave in this situation. I feel like him being, you know, imprisoned by Cecil basically is showing like, hey, you have to face it. As you don't get to fly away and go, you know, have a kid with some bug alien, you know.
That's what I was thinking is
No
no Oliver. Yeah.
There's no Oliver
There's
in
no
this
Oliver.
world.
Yes.
Yep.
So I was thinking about that too. I was like, can we just like let him go to the planet for a second and then come back?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I liked it because everything in this timeline is sped up because Mark knows the future.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to come to that realization sooner was not too soon for me personally reading. It was just like he did know it. Mark started out the conversation with him saying, hey, you love us, and him already saying, I do. So him even saying, I do love you was a big step.
Yeah,
anyway.
So it almost like it warmed him up in a way.
Yeah,
You know?
That's kind of how I took it.
Mm-hmm. So then the final issue of Reboot, 126, and also the halfway point of the volume 11, it starts off with Mark talking with Alan, and I love this because you can assume this is the first time Alan comes to Earth, and he's like, I can't believe
little.
it. What's that?
He's little again.
He's not all jacked.
Exactly,
like
yeah,
that.
because this is what he used to look like. And I like how it's like, what do you mean? This is Earth, not Urath. Remember? Because the first time he was coming, he was going to the wrong planet, and he tells him how there is a rogue Viltrumite, and there's 2 of us now, and we're willing to help. You're going to go back to the Coalition. You're going to talk to Thaddeus. And, you know, it was that whole thing. And, you know, Alan meeting Nolan and Mark saying that you guys are going to become really good friends and everything like that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, I liked it too. And I liked how Alan and him had that exchange, him and Nolan. You know, it's just...
I liked seeing Nolan and Debbie too. And him saying that he loves her and her saying that you sound like you said it for the first time.
Right. This is the first time it's like... Ooh, touch the mic, sorry.
It's all right.
This was, the first, like, him saying it, it's like he actually meant it because he realized it. So I did. I like that too.
Yeah. And Mark kind of... Doesn't he tell off Cecil a little bit here? He's like, oh, yeah, because Cecil says, I'm sure this hasn't been easy on you. I'm sorry. And Mark's like, no, you're not.
Too bad.
He's like, you know, that it's okay. I'm your guy now. I'll help you get to things before they get bad. You know.
Right.
I don't want to have a free moment to think about how hard this is on me. So.
Another montage.
I love that. Isn't that cool? I mean, him fighting Elephant. This scene of them fighting the Lizard League. That's when Rex gets shot in the head.
Yep.
So they're basically stopping that from happening. Stopping Doc Seismic. There's the
dragon guy.
What's that?
The guy that turns into a dragon, right? Isn't that him, the old guy?
No, that's Doc Seismic is the one that
lava guy, right?
yeah,
Oh,
he can control the he does shock waves, but he also later controlled magmites or whatever these
Yes.
creatures, the lava
Yeah,
creatures. And then later he got turned into that
Mm-hmm.
lava guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love seeing these cuz I love seeing the Guardians of the Globe fighting along with them. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
And then the Flaxons come again.
Oh yeah, of course the Flaxons come again. In this scene where Eve gets shot out of the air and Mark catches her,
Pitter patter, my heart went.
right? That actually happened the last time this happened, but I believe Rex is the one that caught her.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I forgot to look, but it's funny how it changed. But then in this one, Mark catches her and Rex goes, careful, Invincible, that's my girl. And that was kind of a final straw.
I know. I love his little face. Like, Poor guy.
Yep. So now comes the spaghetti monster.
Yes.
This is what it's all been kind of leading to. He's in his room crying, and this voice comes over and says, "But you've saved so many," and tells him how, do you not realize how many you have saved? You can undo all this stuff. Are you not pleased? And Mark's like, it's worse. This sucks. And it's saying that, yeah, you did something that prevented Eve and Rex from not being together, or from breaking up.
Right.
But we read you. We know you, Mark Grayson.
You're good.
Yeah, you're good. You would not simply let people die for that relationship. And Mark's like, you're right. And they say, like, we're giving you a choice to stay and to right all those wrongs and to fix things, but you have to choose.
Right. It's either this reality or the other.
Mm-hmm. It says that this path, cannot be forced on you. This is why we gave you a taste of what can be, the good that can be done. And Mark says no. Because of Terra. He's saying that, even I like how he says, even I will get together. Like, he doesn't even say, we might get together. I like how confident he is in that. I think that's kind of cool.
Have another baby, but it will not be the same baby.
Yeah. Not to mention, obviously, Oliver and other things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's saying that it won't be Terra. And he refuses. And
they're shocked.
yeah, they're saying you were our last hope, And they're saying he's trying to get them to explain why and what this means.
And they can't, of course.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not sure. But we were unable to explain to you what and why what we're trying to prevent in a way that you would comprehend. And he's like, that's so convenient. I like how he calls it out. And he says, and they say, is there anything that we can say that would make you reconsider? And he says, no. And they say, then you have doomed this world. You are a disgrace. And they bring him back. What do you think of this?
Dude's been through enough.
Right?
I know.
To be called a disgrace at that point, like,
It's like maybe if he went back and he didn't remember certain things.
Yeah, it's hard to, because then you have to be selective. Like,
I know, but they could do it. It seems like they could. The
Right.
spaghetti monster, like, could take away. I picture like Harry Potter, like pulling out
just take out
certain
just that memory.
memories.
It seems like it's an all-in package, though. Like,
I
hey,
know.
you can go, you're back, and you have the full memories of that lifetime, which will help you to change things in this lifetime. But he chooses not to.
Yeah, I mean, I would choose the same thing.
Yeah, that's tough. Again, Invincible's all about those impossible decisions. So he gets pulled back, saying, "I can live with that," and
To see everything.
So this Viltrumite ship,
dilapidated.
or the Coalition ship, whichever it was, is destroyed. And so he rushes home. I love that panel of him flying as fast as he can to get home. He flies to Telestria. He flies down to the city, lands up on the patio or whatever, the balcony where Eve is, and he's just so happy to see her. He's like, "It's me, it's me. I it's hard to explain, but I'm back. I was back in time. They pulled me through time." And she's like, "You were in the past? What? Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, there was these creatures. They made me choose, and I did something terrible. I don't know if I did the right thing." He's basically torn with this, but he's saying, "I had to come back." And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, I'm not. I need to see Terra. I need to hold her." and he turns and sees her, and his eyes start watering, and Terra's standing there.
Are you my daddy?
She's
big.
6 years old.
She's big.
5.5-ish or so, but
Yeah.
yes. So at that point,
I like how she looks like Mark.
yeah, we had to wait 4 months.
Nope.
That's not acceptable.
That's not acceptable.
No.
Yeah. So when we decided to do this podcast, the first issue we were going to discuss was going to be issue 126, that one. And we all told each other that we wouldn't talk about it until the podcast. So we got it all set up. We all got here, and that was back when there was 4 of us on the podcast. Matt actually was going to be on it with us. And we sat in this room, and we sit down, and the first thing we're like, well, shit. 4 months? So we ended up waiting on the podcast. We never released that episode. We ended up waiting till it was closer till it came back, because then we'd have 4 months of nothing really to talk about, except, we could have found stuff, but we wanted New Invincible to talk about. And not only that, but we had to sit with that. We had to sit with that, end. Like, what?
Yep.
What? And Brittany, you were saying, like, he's been through enough. Like, this was so hard. This sucks.
Like, I don't know how he's even, like, alive still.
Just emotionally. Like, how does it...
I know, how do
just
you
not die
swallow
from...
this?
Yeah.
Like, no.
I know it.
Poor Mark.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a rough wait. But, again,
Oh, and I honestly love this whole, an issue. Like, all the facial expressions, like, it just feels so raw, so real.
So, yeah, at this point, 127, original artist and creator Coy Walker comes back. Mm-hmm. So he does this stint of 6 issues, and it was really cool. I like this a lot. It starts off, 127? Yeah. Right where we left off, with Mark crying, saying, I am your father, and him saying, I was going to be there for you every day. I wanted to spend every day with you. I wanted to teach you things. And she says, it's okay. I still love you. And a great, 1-page splash of her hugging him. Really cute. I have something to show both of you, though. This is volume 9. If you open up to issue 105, right there, read that panel right there. Mark,
this one?
Yep, Mark and his dad are sitting on the moon talking, and this is right before he leaves Earth, or a little ways before he leaves Earth.
Yeah, it says, can you help me? I mean...
Oh, this is him. All right, this is Mark talking. Yep,
okay.
This is Mark talking to his dad, and they just found out that Eve was pregnant, and Mark's kind of freaking out about it.
Yes. Can you help me? I mean, not be so scared. I'm worried I'm going to screw it up, or that I'll get thrown into the future and miss its childhood or something.
How crazy is that?
They knew.
Yeah.
They knew.
Kirkman had to have known. I didn't, and I obviously didn't.
Or they wrote that and they're like, we're doing that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't find that panel until long after this happened. You know what I mean? So I didn't foresee that. It was cool rereading it and being like, oh!
Yeah.
So, yeah, issue 105 kind of predicts this. So...
I like the little family shot of the 3 of them just like cuddling.
Yeah. I mean, they say 5 years have gone by.
Yep.
They put Terra to bed. I like how she has her little stuffed bicornuclopes. That's a little thing that Ryan Ottley does sketches of. He basically switched the eyes and horns of a unicorn. So it's
I hope that they create that.
There should be a bicornuclops plushie.
It's so cute.
Yep. Mark tells Eve that he learned that he wasn't a hero and that he chose to come back instead of saving everyone. And she basically says that, that's bullshit, and, basically comforts him. And she looks off to the side after saying, we're together now.
Yeah.
So maybe things aren't quite okay.
Well, of course. Just been gone for 5
years. Yeah.
She's a person.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look what happened last time. Mark left to fight Angstrom, and I think it was like 6 months or something. and she was fully pregnant, and she had moved on. She wasn't wearing her ring,
Right.
and it was just, they're like, she was done. This is 5 years, raising a daughter by herself. And we see on this next page, like, she's completely comfortable with Telescree now. She's talking to aliens. She's just fully embraced it. So Terra goes to see Miss Luca, and Eve introduces Miss Luca to Mark. Mark gets to see Alan. Alan giving him a big old goofy bear hug because it had been so long.
Cute. Hey there, how are you? Whoa.
And then Alan kind of tries to get Mark to come back into, fighting.
Right.
Finding.
Too soon.
Yeah, right?
Way too soon.
Yeah. And Mark basically tells him no. I mean, he says, I've lost 5 years for you.
I have so much emotion. Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
So he shuts him down. Eve says that she's taking him to Thulthak. I don't know. Kolthak. I think it's Kolthak.
Something fact.
Yeah, anyways, this another planet so they can kind of go and get their own, catch up a little bit.
Right.
Later on at this party, Mark's standing on a balcony, and who walks up beside him but Oliver? And he's grown up a little bit. He's got his own little mustache going.
I know. I was like, oh, he's a through and through.
Yeah. So,
I mean, the fact that he had a mustache should have been like
the first
an impending sign of doom.
Yeah.
Yep.
You reap what you sow.
I like how Mark's saying, Oliver asking how you doing, and Mark's like, I'm fine, and he breaks down. And it's like, and Oliver's saying like, hey, it's okay that you're not fine. This is all right. You'll be all right. It's gonna be okay.
And Oliver had children.
Oliver has 2 little babies.
Yeah.
Did you see those? Haluma was holding 2 orange babies.
Yep.
Purple and orange, I guess, makes that pinkish orange baby. Yeah. Yep. So they've got kids. Let's see. Mark and Eve are going to go to that planet, and their teacher comes to say goodbye and gives Terra a little robot. What do you guys think of Terra? What are your thoughts on Terra now that you've read her, how she talks, how she acts?
Oh my god, I love her.
Right?
Yeah.
She's really cute.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's so cute. And she's just a kid. Like, I love you no matter what. I just met you, but I love you. Yeah, she's really cute with her, like, little hat. She likes this robot. Like, I really like her.
I like her, Terra. We're in space. Booyah! The first sign of some problems here. Eve's not sleeping in the same bed as Mark. I like this page of them reading together and Mark just crying. Like, he's just so happy to have them back.
I know. It's so sweet. Like, I want to cry.
Yeah.
I might. It's so cute.
Later on this alien planet, Mark tries to kiss Eve and she turns away. And Mark's like, clearly upset, but understands, like, hey, I know a lot of time has gone by, but this is hard for me too.
Like, Eve accepted that he was raped, so he can definitely accept that she was with somebody else.
Yes. Yeah. And she says, that there was someone else. And I think she looks awesome. Like, Cory Walker did a great job on this page, especially. Like, I think she looks really good there. But then that's not the end, where I feel like it would normally be the end. Oliver, as if the mustache wasn't sign enough.
Yeah.
Is secretly talking to Thragg. What?
I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
So
I don't know if
it's
I need to,
okay.
Sneeze, and I wanted you to edit it.
Oh, and it's gone.
Okay. Elephants.
Something
like that. You look
Elephant
at lights.
man.
Okay, so...
The elephant.
Thragg.
But yeah, he's talking to Thragg and saying that, Mark is out of the picture. I think he may never get involved.
Excellent. Like, I could just picture him.
And who is he surrounded by?
A bunch of children who are now grown.
His evil spawn.
So now we're back to having a bunch of evil Viltrumites to deal with.
Following Papa Thragg.
And poor Battle Beast.
I know.
Still on his shoulder.
He's so proud.
Yeah. So issue 128. As if you couldn't tell, Ryan Ottley did the covers for this this arc, even though Cory Walker did the interiors. And Nathan Fairbairn did the coloring, who sticks on to do the coloring. Once, after Corey Walker's 6 issues, Ryan Ottley comes back and Nathan Fairbairn stays on. So it looks great. This is, what is it? 128. It starts off with this alien planet. They're talking about how they're worried that their place in the coalition is going to, draw attention to Thragg, which it does.
It does. They get attacked.
Yep. Right away, we see that Thragg's kids are kind
strong.
Yeah, they're obviously have powers. They're taking over planets for Thragg. And then back to Mark and Eve. And Eve saying, like, we were so worried. Because right now, obviously, we're in territory where we were doing podcasts about each of these issues.
Yeah.
We were so worried that, we weren't going to find out about this guy or anything about him, that it was going to be dragged out a little bit. But no, right away, his name was Kubian. Talia, Alan's girlfriend, introduced us. We weren't together very long. You had been gone 4 years at this point, so
it was recent. That was.
It was relatively recent. Yeah.
So she did wait quite a while.
Yeah, she did. And you're right. Mark says it's okay. You really don't have to do this. It's not something you should feel like you have to apologize for. I understand 5 years is a long time. So he is okay with it.
Yeah.
I liked seeing Terra and Eddie, their interactions together, and how he has to keep adjusting to her age because she's just a little kid and she just, he's like, hey,
he's trying to figure out
let's do a botany lesson.
I know, to make education fun for her age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. And Mark wanting to fly with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but flying too high. It's one of those, like, how do I handle kids moments? Because he doesn't know how to do this. He has no experience with kids.
She gets so mad. She goes, I want to fly just low.
Mm-hmm.
Duh, Dad.
Her little pouty face.
Yep.
Oh, and then Alan and Talia getting it on.
It was interesting to actually see.
What was
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes there. Because it's always behind the curtain.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Alan gets called away to an emergency council meeting. Mark and Terra have a cute moment where she's hogging all the markers, and then they go to read a book, and the book kind of has some subtle undertones about, a person not being, what was it like? It kind of had to do, it symbolized Eve, and finding someone, but not wanting to be alone and having to find someone to be your partner, and
right, just to get you through everyday life.
Mm-hmm. So Mark has that moment where he kind of stares off thinking about that. And then back to Representative Elia, who, was the one that suggested they do the Viltrumite breeding camps or whatever.
Attacked him.
Yeah, she uses Alan's own bodyguards to attack him, saying that Alan is,
what a bitch.
Again, to be fair, he's had 5 years, and Alan's army's only grown. It sucks. But
and now
Alan,
I'm sure they've gotten reports that Thragg is taking over planets, and
they're like, so she's frustrated,
move.
understandably. Not saying this is the right thing to do, but she tries to kill Alan.
Stupid.
Yeah, by blowing, when the bodyguards fail, blowing herself up, including the entire building and Alan. And
I got nervous when I saw that panel because I was like, is that just like a piece of Alan?
Oh, yeah.
And then when I saw him and he literally had no eye.
No eye, yep.
And his whole face was burnt.
Mm-hmm.
He said shit, so I was like, okay, he's still alive.
So he's still alive, yeah. I think that's what we said on that episode, too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's got to be fine.
He's got to be fine, but I'm just thinking, like, how's he going to come back from that?
Mm-hmm. I really like this scene of Mark and Eve because they're just flat out saying it. They're talking like normal people. Eve's like, "You're upset about it, aren't you?" And Mark's like, "Yeah, of course I am. I can be upset with you being with someone else and still see that you did nothing wrong, and right. I feel bad, but you don't have to." And she responds by saying, "Oh, that makes complete sense. You should be sad, and I'll go over here and dance." And she's like, "I still feel terrible." Like, it's a very real, like, shitty interaction. It's like, hey, there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
It sucks, but I think they're both okay with it in the end. And Mark goes on to say, they haven't heard from Earth lately, and he wonders what's going on Earth.
Right.
And we get this page of Nolan, who's now got a gray, like, chops.
Mustache going. I like the little chops.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
But they're fighting some threat on Earth.
Yeah, well, originally, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, is he fighting Robot? Because Robot's in the background. But I was like, it kind of looks like he's fighting with him.
Yep.
So I'm like, what's happening?
So what did you think of this? You know, the first thing that happens in 129 is Robot talking Nolan into saying, like, hey, it's okay to kill that guy. It's okay to kill him. Look what he did. He ravaged this planet. He set us back years, you know.
Right.
And Nolan agrees and kills him. You know, this is the technicians. Do you guys remember the technicians?
Yes, I do.
These are the ones that...
Angstrom.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we finally kind of get a little bit of resolution from them. Like, they wanted something from Angstrom.
It's hard for me because I struggle with seeing Nolan take on this, like, darkness again.
Yeah.
Because he's, of course, struggled more with, like, what right and wrong. So when this comes along, it's like, of course, yes, he did this, but is it our job to kill him or capture him?
Yeah.
You know, there's different ways to deal with this, and, you know, it didn't have to end in death.
Yeah. I like how he says, you know, this wouldn't be you sliding back to the old ways of your people, you know. So it's one of those...
He's trying to justify it.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
So we've got Alan in his hospital bed with no arms, no legs. What is it? Terra says...
No armed Alan.
No
armed
Alan. So funny.
I mean, again, a child just says it, you know, like,
yeah,
shoot.
Yep. And,
because they leave because Alan's girlfriend comes with her
brother, we find out. Yeah.
Who's pretty handsome.
Kubian. Oh, yeah, this jock guy shows up.
Yep.
And
you quickly see that it's Eve's other lover.
Mm-hmm.
But what a dick.
Mm-hmm.
You remember why they broke up?
Yeah. Like, well, because she... Was it Talia or Telia? How do you say her name?
Yeah, Talia, I think.
Yeah.
Talia?
She explained it perfectly, but it was basically they don't see value in children.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that's in the way of their relationship. So they only value their relationship, and he wanted her to choose him over Terra.
Yeah.
And I wondered if it was because it wasn't his child or if that's just what it was altogether, but it sounded like they just don't care about kids.
She calls it he calls it archaic familial obligation, meaning like, his race probably doesn't, you know, raise children. They might have kids, but they probably don't raise them.
Yeah.
You know, and he wanted nothing to do with that. So.
What a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you don't raise children, you just become an asshole.
That's not true.
No, like, he's an asshole. Nobody taught him any better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because that's all he's ever known. But, like, even when he said that, I felt like he meant the obligation to go back to Mark. Like, because that's your baby's daddy, like...
Well, they broke up before Mark even came back, though.
Yeah,
so.
But I thought that's, like, in his reference of,
maybe.
You still want to be with me, but now you have this other...
Oh, yeah, and then
guy.
him saying, and I know he can never make you feel the way I do. And she, like, socks him. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shows a guilty conscience right there.
Mm-hmm.
Might be true after seeing all those tentacle things that, you know, his sister was using on Alan.
Who knows what he's got.
I know.
Jeez. You guys are too much.
I like
keeping it real.
I like Terra explaining to Uncle Oliver what happened. She's just the way she talks, the way she's written. It's just so cute.
I know, and I can totally see it. You know, it's yeah.
So.
And Oliver's looking like jacked.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
Yep. And Talia explains what happened, so now Mark knows the truth and everything, and that's just kind of where it's left at. It's over with. You know what I mean? That's
it was. Didn't take a long time to get there.
Yep. Exactly, and it's it. That's out of the picture. We know where they all stand. I like seeing this progression shot on Alan, on how he's healing, and he kind of, you know, he normally comes back stronger and bigger, and it seems as though part of him coming back stronger means he's having these like rock. Yeah, it kind of looks like he's a little bit more rock.
More like the Thing, you know?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a sign of being cast as The Rock.
Just kidding.
I just keep bringing it back. Please, somebody listen.
Please. Then we get a little taste of Anand and Ursel.
Yeah.
These are Thraggs, two of Thraggs' kids, who seem to have a little bit more of a second in command spot. We see a lot of them, and
yeah, that bitch looked crazy.
Mm-hmm.
well, Anand's ripping people in half, and he's killing people for fun, and Ursel basically tells him to stop, saying, "Hey, we've done our job. We've conquered this planet. They are obeying us. Why are you still killing them?" And Thragg shows up and says, "Is there an issue?" And Ursel kind of covers for her brother, saying, "No, there's no issue.
We're good."
Yep. Nolan comes home to see Mark.
I love his face. Like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Where you been?
Yep. And he's so happy to see him. And we get a little taste of what Grandpa Nolan is like.
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We would never have seen this.
Yeah. We wouldn't have. Yeah. It would, this is. I mean, it's cool to see, her older. To see Terra aged. So Mark kind of, they talk a little bit about Rex. Nolan goes on to say Rex is a friend of mine. I mean, I think 5 years have gone by. Things are better. They've done a lot together, and Mark still isn't okay with it. And they're interrupted by the sound of Eve shutting down Anissa.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Eve in this shot.
Yeah.
Right? Just like the pink wall of death.
Yeah.
Like, you fucking bitch.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
And she says that she didn't say anything. She just started to talk to her, and Eve basically saw red and just attacked her.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nolan freaked out, said, "What did you do to my son?" Mark tells him that she did nothing. So
that made
that
me
pissed
angry.
me off.
Yeah.
It pissed me off
I think
too.
it's kind of
Well, I
supposed
think he
to.
said it because he knows that his dad would have ripped her in half right in
Yes.
front of
Right.
Terra.
Uh-huh.
Like right there.
Of course, Mark is always thinking about that stuff. Where I'm
Saving
just like,
lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
I hope he tells his dad what happens. I'm sure he will eventually, but
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the right moment.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
And Mark and Eve talk about it a little bit, and Mark says that all he cares about is the three of
Now.
us,
Yeah.
and I don't want anything to get in the way.
Dun dun dun.
And the issue ends
With Anissa
with
going
Anissa.
home.
Yep, going
to a
home.
sweet baby girl.
And
A son.
named Marky.
So I want to know who's the baby.
The baby looks like it's the daughter of that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a little darker.
Yeah. So
Well-
she looks like. It looks like. I mean, she kisses him on the head.
Right. So she obviously
She
must
found
have
someone
procreated
finally.
though
Yeah.
with somebody else.
With that guy. It's assumed that this is Mark's son,
Oh, of course.
Duh.
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So, and obviously he's older than Mark.
Well,
Or I'm sorry, older than his baby. So she must have. I mean, he looks to be almost Terra's age, which would line up.
which would make sense. Absolutely.
And then she who hated procreating with humans, eventually found someone and settled down and had a baby. So there we are with that.
Marky.
This
Little Marky.
issue. At this point, I remember doing the podcast for this one. I was so upset. Like, poor Mark.
I
like,
know.
not only is like
he just
there's
got his family back,
but-
and now this shit.
yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
This one felt to me like how I feel like you felt a couple volumes ago with Mark Brittany, like where it's like, how much shit can one guy take?
Yeah.
It's almost too much sometimes.
Yeah.
This was almost my breaking point where I was like, so now he has this illegitimate kid out there that
It's gonna affect him and Eve.
how is that
like,
gonna affect him? Oh yeah, I know.
It just doesn't end for him.
Uh-huh.
It just keeps going.
Well, it will in 12 issues.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
One big happy family.
All right, so
Predictions now.
only a few more issues. We've got issue 130 now. Mark and Rex in a little bit of a standoff on the cover. It starts with Britt, and he's, using this cool gun to save people from this collapsing building. And this whole thing is being narrated by Rex, talking about how few casualties there actually were in that technician war.
Right.
That no matter, even though it was the most disastrous thing that had ever happened,
It was the most efficient.
it was actually, super efficient. Very few died in, considering how
the
bad it
outcome
was.
good.
Mhm.
You know?
That, some villains have united under my leadership now. And, we get to see Tech Jacket and Wolfman. What's that, Britt?
The Muller twins.
Yeah, the Muller twins. And
How do they keep coming back?
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
right. And Rex goes on with his speech saying that, things are good. Life is good. There are still a few people that oppose me, but all in all, everything's good. And he's giving this speech to Mark and Nolan, and what's it?
Well, yeah, Mark just gets pissed. Like, Nolan's, like, sitting there looking at him like, see, come on,
Yeah.
son. Like,
Right?
get on board. And Mark's just like, nope, screw this.
Yeah. So they go up into space to talk about it, and they have this whole discussion about Mark saying, "Hey, you can't just look past all the evil he's done, all the bad things he's done, and I can't believe him." He's saying that how do you know he didn't let the technicians in? How do you know he didn't send them just to get more people on his side,
Which we totally wouldn't put past him.
Right?
That's definitely something he would do.
But at this point, it's like,
What does it matter, though?
at this point, how long does it take? Does it have to be 10 years, 50 years of Rex just being like, I'm fine with this. The world's a better place. I'm not going to do anything. Like, is the other shoe ever going to drop? And I feel like Nolan was just like, no, this is fine. This is good. But Mark is not stubborn, but I mean, he ripped his wife's leg off. You know what I mean? Like, he tried to kill him several times. He left him in another dimension. Like, there has to be a point in which
There's no coming back for
you
Mark.
you
Like,
can't
he will never...
accept this guy.
And then you wonder what's going to happen when Thraggs' little army shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What is he going to do?
Yeah. But ultimately, Mark says that they can't stay.
Nope.
They're not going to stay
won't.
here. It's not going to,
No, he would always be looking over his shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
worrying about if Robot's going to change his mind and come after his family.
And not only that, but...
And he would kill Terra right in front of him.
Oh,
It's
sure.
for the greater good.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
no.
And not only that, but I'm sure, Eve's got a handle on Telestria. Terra's got a handle on it. Like, they're kind of comfortable there now.
Right.
So why bother? Why deal with the...
And they have family there. Like,
Yeah. So they leave and, fly back. Not before we see Oliver checking in again with Thragg.
Yep.
Yep. He's trying to get more information from Thragg. He's trying to find out, so did you guys think, at this point, did you guys assume Oliver worked for him? Or did you think he was a double agent? What did you think?
Oh, I thought straight up he worked for him.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah.
up. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him kind of fishing for more information, but it didn't ever once make me think, oh, he's playing both sides.
Yeah.
It made me think he's
Yeah, but he's always had this
a different
bigger
point of view.
He's always had a bigger head than...
I can do this.
He
I can
can
fight.
do it
I can
all,
take
yeah.
it on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
Yep. Back on their little planet, Mark tells Eve, we could just stay here. We don't, just let's forget it all. Let's just stay here together forever.
And she's down with it. She's like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Alan is in rehab, so he's almost to full strength. And he has a little secretary saying that other thing, it's done. And, Alan kind of glancing off what was that other thing? So, but the issue ends with Thragg killing Ragnar's, training some of his children.
Use their strengths as their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy that he's just pretty much fighting Ragnar's. Those things can hurt Viltrumites.
Right.
And,
Shows how strong he's gotten over those 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And he's called in Anand and Ursel and given them a new assignment.
Yep. Time to go kill Mark and his family.
Yep. He says, I want you to go kill Mark Grayson. So he knows where Mark is. So, I mean...
Yeah.
What?
Well, when I read that, I was kind of again, are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
They finally just got somewhere. They said, we're going to live here. We're going to enjoy our life. We don't want anything to do with it.
Of course.
Just leave us be. but guess what? I'm gonna come hunt you down.
Just keeps coming.
Yep.
You guys don't see it in the trade paperback or the the book form, but the single issues and the digital issues have this little
Title.
They have like kind of like a little blurb on the bottom of the issue, and the bottom of this one is truth is this cover is a spoiler. Should have just gone with the ones that was just hands.
We like those ones.
I know. I love the hands covers. So yeah, here it is. 131. Anna and Ursula are arriving.
Yep.
Starts with Thragg basically giving Oliver one shot, saying, "Hey, all right, you want to prove your loyalty?
Don't do anything.
Yeah, don't do anything. I'm sending people to kill your brother, and you're just gonna stand back." So Oliver begs him not to do it, but Thragg says it's too late. And
he
then,
wants to bring him over or try or whatever. Yeah.
I like Mark playing baseball with Terra, and as Anna attacks, her baseball hat goes flying off, and it's a Baltimore baseball cap, and Mark's home is in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So it's a neat little
cute.
nod. But yeah, Anna kills Eddie, the robot.
Oh, she is pissed.
Sucks. I liked Eddie.
I know. They can make another. It's just a robot. You
True.
know?
Mark freaks out, obviously. And this issue was so intense. It was so intense.
Well, it's so scary when you have someone so innocent with no powers.
Yeah.
And how helpless both Eve and Mark feel at this moment because they weren't expecting it, and now they have to protect their child with these two lunatics. Oh
Right.
my gosh.
I liked Ursula grabbing Eve's leg and
And
Eve like cutting her own leg off.
Yep.
Because that was like that other reminder of, hey, remember she has a fake leg.
Mommy, you're a robot? I found my new friend.
Just my leg, honey.
Yeah.
So then just page after page of a very crazy fight scene.
Yeah. And I liked him saying, like, I'm sorry, I have to fly.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I think of this poor little girl and her lungs just, like, crushing on her. And he's just like, we have to keep going. Like,
That is like the most heartbreaking thing.
I was, like, losing my breath as I was reading this. I'm like, this poor girl.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I remember saying it was hard to breathe reading this issue. Like him, that full page of him holding her and flying really, really fast, and then her face turning purple, and him saying, Terra, you have to breathe, okay? Oh, yeah.
And her just crying. It hurts. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
And then, like, they keep fighting on it. I mean, Ursula keeps attacking Eve, and Eve's putting up a good fight, but she's just being all defensive. She can't stop her. She's just trying to bide her time. And Mark is, like, trying to hold on to Terra, and he's, like, flipping her around, and Anand just keeps chasing him.
And then finally he gets him. And
yeah, Anand grabs a hold of Terra and drops her. Just straight up drops her. Did you guys think she was going to fall?
I didn't know what to think.
I thought Mark was going to catch her. You know, like he would get away and catch her.
Yeah.
Something heroic right before she hit the ground kind of thing.
We had so many different options. I remember I was talking about how, like, okay, the options are, like, Oliver's going to show up and catch her. Thraggs going to show up and catch her. She's going to have power. She's going to smack into the ground. I think our big theory was that she was going to hit the ground and then crawl out of it, and she was going to be super strong.
So I like that.
Yeah, so we're like, oh, maybe she's just indestructible. That's cool.
Yeah. Reminds me of like Jack.
Jack, yeah, exactly. So the final issue of Volume 11 is 132 with a crazy cover of just a bloody hand.
I was scared.
Yeah.
I was so scared when I saw this. I'm like, no.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
Because I imagine so many bad things for poor Terra. So I was freaking out.
Yep. And it starts right where it left off. Terra falling, yelling daddy, Anand holding back Mark. And she...
I can fly? Yeah. She thinks she can fly.
So Terra can fly. Well, at least kind of fly.
Kind of.
She doesn't really know how. She's just kind of floating there. So... But then Thraggs got her. So we find out that Thraggs showed up, has her leg. It says shame, falling would have been a less painful death.
Uh-huh. And he tells her that she's a good liar and she would probably be useful. So I liked that.
Yeah.
You know, there's something special or extra about her. Mm-hmm. But then I got nervous again because he put his whole hand around her head.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that awful?
Oh, my
And she
gosh.
says, "You're hurting me?"
Yes.
Like,
I was
and
like,
just
why
like-
would they put that in here? It's
Just
too
imagine,
much.
starting to slow squeeze and enjoying it every moment. Oh
Made
my
me
gosh.
nervous.
Yep. But luckily,
Uncle Oliver showed up.
Uncle Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness he still has a heart.
Yep. So Mark beats the shit out of Anand, bites him.
He looks like such a little bitch when he gets punched in the face, like he's crying, like,
Who's that?
Anand.
Anand, yeah.
Yeah.
He is a little bitch.
Right?
And Eve's still fighting Ursula, and Mark shows up. I love how he grabs her by the throat and then just slams her headfirst into the ground.
Yep.
And she's just like, and she looks like she's stuck into the ground headfirst.
I know, it was such a great scene.
So they take off to go find Terra because Mark says, I looked and I didn't see her fall. So
Right.
they don't know where she is. So
Because they don't know that she can float, hover, /
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
Thragg and Oliver are fighting, and we kind of find out that, that Oliver was using him. Oliver, was doing this, was, true to the coalition. Thragg says, now I see where your true loyalty lies, and it was interesting because we could see Oliver siding with Thragg because, like we talked earlier,
He still gave him good information.
Oh yeah,
Like,
but that's part of the whole thing. Like maybe he had to do that to get. But I mean, you could see him siding with Thragg because he's got, other Viltrumites who are like him.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and how awful was this with Terra kicking Thragg and breaking her ankle?
Oh, I know.
The next few pages are so rough.
Poor little sweetie.
Yeah. So Oliver tells him, like, hey, I know why. You may be the strongest of all of us, but, my family has something you'll never have, the blood of Argol in our veins, because they're the true heirs to the Viltrum Empire. And Thragg says, it looks just like blood to me as he puts his fist through Oliver.
Yep.
Goes Uncle Oliver.
Yep.
I know, but again, I'm like, he's not dead.
Exactly.
Like, Mark's come back from that.
Exactly.
Like,
So many people I feel like have come back from that.
I mean, look what happened to Alan. Like, please.
Oh, I know.
So how can he not come back from
And
that?
one of the grossest things in this issue, an issue packed with gross things, is Thragg wiping his hand on Terra's face. And then,
like marking her.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that bothered me so
yeah, and
much.
her poor red eyes, like she saw all this.
Right.
Like this is going to affect her.
forever.
And Mark shows up and he offers basically a trade. I've got your son, you've got my daughter, let's just end this. Don't hurt her. Don't do that. And Thragg calls him out on it, saying, hey, you're a good guy. I know you. You're a hero. You wouldn't do anything to him. I'm basically calls his bluff. But then Mark gives the line, being a hero is bullshit.
Yep.
And
This reminded me, remember, like, when you were a kid, popping the heads off daisies?
yeah.
I was like, there it goes.
Or
I'm singing the
dandelions.
song. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and just pops his head off.
Popped off.
Throws the body at Thragg. And then what proceeds is a very brutal fight scene in which, Eve tries to heal Terra's leg, but while she's distracted,
Of course. Freaking bitch.
Ursula breaks her back, and she says she can't feel her legs, but then Ursula punches her face, breaks her jaw off. Mark is obviously distracted because he's seeing all this. Thragg uses that opportunity while he's distracted to rip him
Basically in half.
vertically in half.
Yep.
And then Thragg says, let's leave them. Don't finish them off. Let them suffer knowing that they can't do anything for their daughter
She's
and all
gonna
that.
starve to death, like whatever.
And they fly away.
That was all a little much.
Yeah, it was a little much. I think so.
But then we get Pink.
But then there's Pink. Eve does it for the second time. Well, third time if you count in her origin story when she does it. But just like when Conquest
Almost
killed her, she unlocked her true potential, true power to heal Mark, heal Eve, and fix Terra's leg, as well as make Mark a little bit stronger. And unfortunately, Oliver was too far gone to save.
Right. That kind of made me sad. And Billy
Yes.
asked me what I thought about this already before I came over, like, about making Mark stronger.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like it, but I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when she came back, didn't she make her, like, boobs
She made her
bigger?
boobs bigger.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I get it, but like, if she could do that, why didn't she make herself stronger or do something different her?
Well, yeah, I think she said we're all a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least a little bit, all of us. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if they were gone or not.
So now we know that, I mean, she's going to have, or Terra's going to have more powers or be stronger or whatever. So maybe
we don't know. Like, is she going to be able to be super strong? Is she going to have some of Eve's powers?
Yeah.
Like, there's all these other different cool little things.
They focus it mainly on being Mark's
powers.
Mark's powers. Like, yeah, is she going to have?
But she has some weird genetic stuff in her from Eve, right? She's got to. I like being able to talk to you guys almost like normally because I can remember fully what these conversations were. But this volume ends with them being like, all right, we're back in the fight. They're back in the fight. This is it. About halfway through these last 6 issues, so about 3 or 4 issues ago, was when they announced that it was going to be the end of the series.
And I feel like this is lining up to the perfect
this is
ability
like,
to end. Yeah. It doesn't feel too rushed. It feels normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to fit it all in 12 issues is intense.
Oh, yeah.
But at least I feel like it's lining up for a good ending, like one that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really like what they say. They got a taste of the life that they want, and they have to fight to get it. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're ever going to be able to, now's the time.
Yep. So we've got Thragg and his army. We've got robots up to something, maybe. Like he's like, are we going to see
a legend is coming from Battle
the
prophecy? Yeah. So there's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff to pack into this.
I think they should just go straight for robot and just fuck them up.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm Team Brittany.
Yep.
Well, will that make for a better Earth? Like, that's the question.
I don't care.
You don't care. He deserves it.
I'm about the revenge. That's what I'm fighting for.
I hope that Monax and Amanda actually take care of that.
Monax and Amanda. I want to see Amanda and Robot talk to each other. I want to see interaction between them.
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah.
So there's the next 5 issues. You guys have to read them in issue form now, or digitally, either way. But what are you looking at on the cover of the first issue?
Oliver holding 2 children.
Yeah.
He just died.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, well, okay.
Right. I mean, we'll see.
Well,
but
Mark is in
and they're definitely
original.
older than they were.
Mark's in his, well, he always is.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I said, nobody ever dies.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe it's a clone.
Yeah. Oh, no.
What?
I'm just saying, like, it's just,
or another one from another universe.
Like, these are all the theories that we were thinking through when we first read them.
Yeah.
Well, everyone seems to be happy except
Thragg.
But the covers, the last 12 covers, kind of are like these montage covers. So if you even look at the next one,
I'm allowed to.
Yeah, you can look at them. We saw all these at this point, anyways. Ooh. They don't really give anything away. They're just like character covers.
Yeah.
But this is it. You guys are here. 5 issues and you're caught up. So. Next time we talk to you guys, which, for all the listeners out there, we're going to be doing an episode next month after, because the next new issue to come out, is going to be, what issue is that? 130, let's see. Yeah. 138 is coming out. And that'll be our next episode of this podcast. And 138 is going to be me, TJ, and Bill talking all about that issue. And then the episode of this podcast that comes after that is going to be all 5 of us.
Chitty-chatting.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's going to be our halfway point because we will be halfway between the end of all things. And so it'll be the first time that TJ and Bill get to sit down with Liz and Brittany. We're going to be able to talk a little bit about if they had any questions, like what they thought of the entire series leading up to this point. We're going to go over those 6 issues. So fans of new readers, like these episodes, you're going to be able to hear what Liz and Brittany thought of the halfway point, which is essentially volume 24 for those of you reading these softcover paperbacks, and see what they thought of these 6 issues. I'm really excited for you guys to read these. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna go by too quick.
I know.
I want to savor them a little bit.
I know. Well, you can. I mean, you've got a month.
Okay.
All
right.
Take your time, read one now and then. Actually get to see what it feels like to wait.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's gonna be great. I'm excited. It's exciting that you're finally here. It's been over a year, like I said. So that does it. Remember, everybody, you can, if you've got questions for that show, by the way, if you've got questions for Liz or Brittany or anything like for that final, not that final new reader, but kind of recapping the entire New Reader series and bringing them up to the current issue, email us, theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Find us there. And I'm going to go watch Spider-Man Homecoming.
Woohoo!
Are you going to end up seeing it? Is Bill going tonight?
Yeah, he's going tonight. I'm sure I'll take Riker at some point this
Cool.
weekend. I was even thinking the drive-in with that.
Oh, nice.
Despicable Me 3 or something. That'd
Cool.
Be a fun
Well,
night.
thank you both for joining me. This has been fun.
Yes.
And we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.